Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another video. This time, we've got an absolute special for you guys. Myself and my co-host for today's show, Bits and Bobz. How you doing, brother? How you doing?
Yeah. So what? I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm very happy that we're going to touch on this very important subject that's we're both very passionate about. So
Of
yeah,
course.
man, I'm ready to go, and I hope people that are watching learn, engage, and create awareness. So share the video, subscribe if you're new, and let's spread some positivity, man.
Yeah, no, just before we start, just want to say, obviously, I got a tweet just prior to coming on from a gentleman saying that, I don't read the comments as much. So that is something I'm going to be looking at just to give you a heads up. If you are going to comment, please make it relevant to the topic that we're discussing, or at least be relevant to what we're discussing in general. But yeah, just to touch on what Bob said, we're going to just keep it 100 with you guys. This is an important matter that has been going on for the longest time. So I actually did my dissertation on this specific topic about 5 to 6 years ago when I was at university in my last year. So it's definitely something I've done a lot of research in the past. As being from BAME community, so to speak, or ethnic minorities, I suppose this is our everyday, isn't it, really? Not just in football, which is what this particular podcast is going to be about, but within society. So we will touch upon both matters. So first and foremost, we just want to start the podcast by just discussing our own, sort of personal experiences. I've got quite a few actually, in particular, but I'm going to mention two because they're more related to football. The first one, to be honest with you, is just the generic one, Sunday League football. I'm sure we've all been there, really, to be honest. I'm not, to be honest with you, this one's not really, look, it's not really impacted me in a negative way. I'm not going to lie. The reason being because I'm quite a strong-willed character anyways, and I'm not really someone that shies away from confrontation if it's presented towards me. So I personally didn't really, I just, face adversity in the way that I think is the right thing, which is head on, really. But basically, I'm sure every single one of you, as an Asian lad, as a Pakistani lad myself, I get this all the time, actually. I get this all the time at work, not from my work colleagues, but from other people looking at when I tell them what my job is. It's just for you guys know, I'm a football coach by trade or by job title, so to speak, and it's not common, especially for an Asian lad. It's not the most common thing. To be fair, the best of times is even the black sort of coaches don't even get the respect. So let alone an Asian lad, where there's no Asian representation, which we'll touch upon later on in the podcast. And it's just one of those things, like, you just don't get respected. You get the generic comments, and I've had this from day one, really. Basically, what are you doing there? Like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be within this field of work. You don't know what you're doing. You should be a taxi driver. You should be whatever, any stereotype you can think of. I've had it thrown at me within my period at working at Sheffield United Football Club, and I just think it's just one of those things, like, where does this stem from? That is the problem for me. The whole point of this podcast is we want to establish where these things stem from. And first and foremost, of course, it's society. Society is the issue with racism in general. You can say what you want about the matter in terms of racism, but it always stems from society. So for this incident in particular, it was our Sunday League coach. I was assistant coach, and I was I was at a team. I don't need to mention the team, but I was there for a long time. The whole season. Practically the whole season, I was just getting digs at me. Practically the whole season. Why is this guy the assistant coach? At the time, the team that I was with was rock bottom, so we weren't doing well. So it was like, I think that was kind of sort of, they felt like my representation being Asian was the reason for not us doing well, so to speak. Although I didn't even have a say in the team, but yeah, there's constant every single game. Referee would do absolutely nothing. People on the side would do absolutely nothing. Constantly, their manager, it's back and forth. You should be driving taxi, you should be coaching, you don't know what you're doing. Obviously, these things, first and foremost, I'm a grown man. I was 25, about 25, 24 at the time, so I'm 28 now. I'm a grown man. I know I can defend myself. It's not an issue, but it's just one of those things. Like, I feel like the problem is, and not enough people speak up. And I think that is one of the issues. Like, obviously, at grassroots football, there's so many other issues, not just race. Race has definitely been one of them. But the problem in society is so many people don't want to speak up because they're scared. Like, for example, I've got, white colleagues or Caucasian colleagues that they don't know what to say because they feel like they're going to say the wrong thing. So they don't want to step in. So, for example, my head manager, he'd always pull me to one side saying, "Are you okay?" etc. And most of the time I was fine with it because I knew it's part and parcel of the job. But the thing for me, the most important thing for me was that I'd be there every Sunday. Like, I would never allow them to think that their comments were affecting me, because that's when they think they won. Like, and I think that's really key. Obviously, don't get me wrong. We're gonna touch upon the incident. The one incident that I think about straight away is the Kevin Prince Boateng. I don't know if he was playing for AC Milan, if I'm not mistaken, at the time, where he got racial slurs and he just walked off the pitch. By all means, listen, I'm all for that. I'm all for players walking off the pitch. But sometimes you got to just stand up and be like, "No, what? I ain't fucking going anywhere. I don't care what you say to me. We are here to stay, basically. I'm not going anywhere." And that's basically what it was for me, the Sunday League. The season kept going week after week. I was getting comments. And to be honest, it started to affect me. It started to make me not want to do that anymore. I've got to be honest. Come the end of the season, I remember, like, it was towards the end of the season. I was actually manager come the end of the season, and because all other coaches got sacked, etc. And they thought, "No, give it to Usmaan till the end of the season, see how we get on." So our team sat at rock bottom. The other manager comes up to me. He's in the dugout, etc. He's sitting next to me. And he goes, "What is this taxi driver gonna do?" Sort of thing. And again, nobody speaks up. Nobody speaks up. The stereotypical comment. Nobody speaks up around us. And I was like, "No, I'm going to fucking show you what I'm going to do, motherfucker, today." I knew this guy's racist anyway because I've dealt with him before anyways. Our team hadn't won a game all season. And these guys, it was between us and them to get relegated, so only one team got relegated. They were struggling in the league as well. So I was like, "Listen, I don't care what happens today. You guys are going to die on this pitch with me." So man sorted the tactics out, and obviously we're chatting shit during the game. Obviously chatting shit as he always does, being racist, etc. And we bodied them 5-0. We fucking bodied them. It was like the Everest Suarez moment when I was stood in front of him celebrating. But listen, the whole point of me telling the story is because I want you guys to realize, right? You're gonna have issues like this. I'm not saying don't retaliate, but what I'm saying is don't let them win by quitting. Like,
Exactly.
he was trying to break me down. Even during the game, man was trying to get in my head, saying all this shit to me. I didn't give a shit about him because I knew my team was going to body him. But the point is, you don't let them think that they can get one over you. That's the thing. For them, he couldn't take it. I wish I recorded this because I didn't vlog back then, but you should have seen his face, right, when he was losing to an Asian lad. You can tell it hurt him to the core of his soul. And I think against the racists in particular, or racists, you've got to stand up to them. And that is the key. Like, by all means, you've got to try and do it in a manner in which it's not reflective of them in terms of, as the famous saying, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. You've got to do it in a way that's not undermining them, but it's also like you're still being respectful in a sense, but keeping your own moral compass. So I think for me personally, in that experience, I grew a lot from that experience. I think I just learned that it's okay to get upset by it, don't get me wrong, but I just think you can't shy away from it, and also you can't run away from it as well. And for me personally, in that experience anyways, I overcame it really. At the end of the day, I proved him wrong, obviously shut him the fuck up, and we won the battle. He thought we won the war even. He was winning these little battles, getting to my head, but obviously we won the flipping war. But bits and bobs, have you ever had an experience like when you feel like there's someone that's not maybe one person in particular, but have you ever been in a situation where you're constantly getting it and it's starting to affect you mentally?
Yeah. So to give people a background, obviously I've got a Scottish accent. So I live in Scotland. I'm from Scotland, and I grew up in London before I moved over, and for football and obviously family reasons, and football was, I got it every time in football. I was the only black kid there. So I mean, it's every majority of every football games, I got it. The one that stands out the most to me is I was playing in a game, and it was a semi-final, and it was literally we were playing against this, as in Scotland say, a gang. Just a gang. No football knowledge, no football brain. Just big boys that looked like rugby players and were in football strips. And, you know, the Muhammad Ali comments came out. Oh, look, it's Muhammad Ali. The King Kong comments came out. Oh, look, King Kong. And then I got the guy, one guy said, oh, make sure you hit that black monkey. And I was just like, really? I remember looking at the side, I was like, are you being serious? And you know what? I won't name the team, and I won't name the team I was playing for, but, you know, the reaction was that my teammates kept tackling the guy, kept hitting him hard. And for me, I have this thing where I always smile. My boys used to call me Colgate Whites because my teeth, I'm always just like smiling, right? So what I did was I just said, I'm scoring and I'm going to jump in all of their faces, go crazy in all their faces. He made me feel so shit that I was just like, I even considered thinking, fuck this. Like, I'm not wasting my time to come here and play football for you to be like that. But then one of my colleagues, like in my team, pushed me and said, oi. He just said, fuck him. We've got a game to win. You know, we'll deal with it by winning. And that's what we've done. And I scored the winner, top corner, and took my top off. And then I was like, I ran past the guy and chucked my jersey at him. And then fair play to the referee. The referee actually came over and tapped him on the back and went, I'm not going to book you. He's like, well done. But that annoyed me as well, though, because the referee heard it, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So the man with authority on the park had the duty of care. And there was no duty of care to me. So it made me, initially it made me feel like, what the fuck? Are you being serious? Like, I was like, shit. And then I got angry. And, you know, I'm one of those players that if I'm angry, I play a lot much better. And winning was beautiful. And do you know the funny part is that they tried to shake my hand after it. And, you know, they tried to conclude it with, oh, it's just banter, mate, you know, football. And I just told them, I was like, look, fuck off, mate. Like, you know, you're the reason why people like me don't play football or don't play sports. And they were gutted. They were gutted that they lost. And they were even more gutted I scored the winner. And see, times like that it's tough because you just want to play football. That's all you want to do.
Yeah.
Play football. You know, obviously there's going to be banter, you know. You get that. There's going to be little kicks. There's going to be whatever. You do anything you can gain an advantage over someone. But to make negative comments about my skin color, to call me animal names, like, who are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do you think that is? And with the man who has the most authority on the pitch didn't do anything. And I think that's who I was most annoyed at, because I was like, you can hear this and you're doing nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know? It's shit, man. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. It's shit because I'm in Scotland. It's a dominated white country. You know? Up until a certain time, there wasn't really many black people or Asians. You know? I'm not going to use the word ethnic minorities because I fucking hate that word. I do. You know? The BAME community. Just say where our communities are. The black community, the Asian community. Just say it. Because you know what? If there was a crime committed and you thought you saw a black person, you're not going to be like, oh, it was ethnic minorities. You're going to be like, it was black people. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the worst time. And then the very first time that I did realise there was casual racism when I moved to Scotland was when a woman said I looked like Lenny Henry.
What?
What? No, I've had fecky. You know, I've been called fecky from like friends and stuff. But Lenny Henry. Now, people don't know who Lenny Henry was. He was a comedian / actor.
Yeah, comedian.
Yeah, but he was probably the most common.
Yeah,
very popular, but common known black person.
He was the most. Is that like the poster boy said to be?
Yeah. And this woman was like, this older woman, someone's mother was like, "Oh, you look like Lenny Henry," and I was like, and I didn't say anything. I smiled and I thought to myself, "No, I don't." Do you know? Because I have black skin, and then I got the Andy Cole remarks when I played football. Oh, look, it's Andy Cole. Yeah, man. Just football wise, it's funny, isn't it? Because football is society, you know. Because these people,
it's a true reflection of society in a sense, you know.
100%.
I think the one sort of correlation between the two stories that we've told already is the fact that we both kind of mentioned the fact that other people have heard it and they've not done anything about it.
Yeah,
I think that was the thing that personally affected me the most. I think, you know, as within character, as you can probably tell with me telling my story anyways, it didn't affect me as much. It probably would affect him most because I'm very good at blocking. I've got really thick skin. Obviously, I've grew up with 3 older brothers, so you kind of just get used to having thick skin because everything gets thrown at you. But you know, I kind of not dealt with racism, but I personally got more upset with the fact that people around me didn't call them out for their wrongdoings. And I think that's where I feel like society has failed us in a sense. And just before I continue with this, I just want to bring out this comment as well because there's a few good ones in here. The only real way to change systemic issues of racial inequality is economics. That's why young black athletes become targets because of the success. Comes more financial power. Absolutely, we will be touching upon the Rashford story, of course, Pogba and other individual players. You know, we know about racism in football is very prominent, and it has been for a long period. I suppose some people will say it's more prominent now, but I don't think it is. I think it's always been racism has been a huge part of the game, sadly, and that's something that
it's just been recorded now. That's it.
That's exactly it. You know, if you do your research, there's that iconic John. Well, I don't want to use the word iconic, but you know, the John Bonds incident when someone threw a banana on the pitch for him. I believe it was his own fan as well.
Yeah.
When he was at Liverpool, you know, that was one of the first. Oh, but there's obviously more incidents prior to that, but I just think for me personally, it's always been an issue within society. And just coming back to what we said regarding and what you said in particular, with that was the thing that upset you the most. You know, his duty of care at the end of the day is for your best interest. You know, and as you said, he said to you, "Oh, well done. I'm not going to book you, etc." But at the end of the day, what difference is that going to make? If he had any pair of balls, like let's be real, or any sort of integrity, he would have called him out face to face. But this is the issue. People are too scared to speak out about this. It's the same with a lot of matters, and that is the problem. We need to normalize calling people out on bullshit. And I think that's something in society that is starting to happen now. You know, you've seen with the BLM movement in particular in recent times, people are fed up. Like people are genuinely fed up. And I think that is in itself, of course, it's a movement, but that in itself is powerful. People have just had enough. You know, as you mentioned, you don't want to use the word ethnic minority, so I'll say it bluntly. You know, black communities have been absolutely battered for ages now. In particular in society, you know, I can think of so many examples, especially in America, but the amount of stereotypes associated with black people is absolutely disgraceful. It's casual racism as well.
Yeah. That's it. Look, Usmaan, let's call it how it is, okay? You and myself, myself and you, or you and I, whichever is the correct English, walk down the street, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you 100% right now, okay? We go down a restaurant or whatever, or a club, one of us isn't getting in. 100% fact.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and like even in some places in Scotland, it's factual. I don't know if in Scotland, me, my cousins, and my boys would have a tactic, 2 by 2. Wait 5 minutes, then you go to queue up to try and get in. You know? Yeah. And it's casual racism, but what encourages the casual racism is the media, the people that are in charge, and you know who I'm going to say. I don't want to say his name because he's pagan. And also the system, because I'm going to say it right here, right now. Playing football as a black player, okay, when I was playing, I was set up to fail. It was always going to be tough. Always going to be tough.
This is the thing, though. Like, this comes back to society as well. you know, as someone of color, so to speak, you have to be above and beyond just to be normal.
Yeah.
Like in terms of let's just use, I don't know, I don't want to use any player, but just use James Milner for example. Right, so just say James Milner is the benchmark to become a successful professional footballer. As a person of color, if you're entry level, so just say James Milner has got an entry level, you have to be, let's just say, I don't know, Grealish level. You have to be at least the level of Jack Grealish, right? Just to be classed as the same as James Milner. As in, so obviously Grealish, you know, is up here and James Miller is ability wise. But if you're a person of colour, you automatically get put down. It's just how it is.
Man, we have to work twice as hard.
Exactly.
It's just, listen, I mean, I'm sure your parents gave you the same chat that I was given, and unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to give my son the same chat when he gets older. We have to work twice as hard to get in the conversation, never mind in the frame, to get in the conversation, to be regarded or to be acknowledged. And then, even when we get there, still not enough.
Yeah.
You know? And like, we can talk about, I know we're going to segue into the footballers and stuff. And, you know, the language that is used illustrates a picture.
100%.
And the picture is received by society, which makes it a bigger picture, you know. I'll let you take this and carry on because, man, when I'm thinking of stuff now,
no, before we do segue into that, I just want to put a couple of comments in because we've got a few. What's this? Or the United way saying Balotelli, what he had to go through was the worst. They destroyed him before he even kicked a ball. Absolutely. Like, Balotelli in Italy is an absolute disgrace.
Bro, I cried. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm getting emotional now just thinking about you know, all the things that people have been through. But Joe, obviously, you know, a massive legend. But how you doing, lads? I can't comment on racism not because I have no views, but because I'm privileged enough to never have experienced it. But I'm learning so much just watching you. Thank you very much, Joe.
Listen, Joe, there was a time when you were classed the same as us, my friend, ethnic.
I can't even take my phone's crashed. I can't even take his comment off the screen. So just enjoy that comment. Oh, there we go. Right, okay. So I just kind of wanted to segue in something that I think is important. Just so you guys know, if you are tuning in, we will be reading the comments. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the topics. So obviously you guys know where we're at. We're going to segue into representation. Obviously not just players, coaches, and the importance of representation, not only for us as adults, but for kids, you know, as a young black lad or a young Asian lad, or so to speak, looking up, not seeing representation of their color within, you know, these powerful positions, so to speak. Does it have a knock-on effect on them? After that, we'll go into media-driven racism, the impact of the media have on racism, not just in football, but in society. And then obviously we'll touch on the BLM movement. A bit of thoughts on that, and then we'll finish on individual situations. Of course, you know, as a Man United fan channel, we've got, sadly, too many cases to talk about our own players. We've got 3 in particular off late, which is an absolute travesty, but it is what it is. That is the whole point of the show, to discuss this. We're not really gonna shy away from it. Rich also saying, well said, Joe. Thank you, Rich, also for tuning in, my absolute top man. Another comment here from Worldwide Red Show, was on the show recently. I've not read it. American racism takes on a different role because it's been politicized. Very true. The majority of Americans are post-racial as a whole. Our nation is brown more than black or white, 100%. Got a few more comments. What I don't understand is when these players are receiving racist abuse, where's Pogba to stop all of this?
Sean.
I read that out genuinely as well. Yeah. God, I need to proofread the questions. That's actually crack up. That is what Sooners will be thinking. But I just want to segue into importance of representation. And the reason I want to talk about this topic is because of one man in particular, right? And I've got his name written in brackets. And I love this guy with all my heart. I genuinely love this guy. And you know, he came out not so long ago. I don't know if it was a year ago or not. And he was getting a lot of racial abuse. You know, he was the only representation within his sport. And it was difficult for him. He spoke out about, in fact, it was actually under the BLM movement. You know, we've seen Anthony Joshua coming out and having the backlash. You know, a lot of people on social media, I don't like you, Anthony. But this guy is literally the definition of a legend for me, and it's Lewis Hamilton. Like
100%.
This guy here, right? And I've posted it on all my social medias, right? And I can't emphasize how proud I am of this guy. I've never been a huge Formula One fan. I watched it a lot about 5 years ago, so from like since the last 2 years. Prior to the last 2 years, I watched it religiously. So obviously, I've always been a Lewis Hamilton fan. But the guy has just stood up on his own, by the way, literally on his own. I can't think of, like I said, I'm not a huge Formula One fan, so I might be missing one, but I can't think of another driver of Black origin or Asian origin or anything really. I know we had Force India, etc., but even they didn't even have an Indian driver. But I just think what he's done for the representation of that sport, and honestly, God, I got emotional like listening to his victory laps. Obviously, just before you finish the last lap, in fact, it might have been the victory lap. Obviously, he's won the race, etc. His team was speaking to him, and he said that this is for all the little kids, looking up.
That touched me.
And like even now, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because it's so key. Like I can't explain how important it is to have representation in power. Like you can, like for example, this guy who's just lost his job. Is it Greg
Clark, yeah.
Greg Clark, that's the guy. We touched on it obviously our last video, but him, for example, he's the guy at the very top of football, basically, right? And he's the one that's meant to set the precedent. He's the one that sets the example. He's white. He's of Caucasian nationality, of Caucasian skin, so to speak. And he's making comments like that. Lewis Hamilton, right, has now booked himself in the Hall of Fame. They can't take that away from him. He's level with Michael Schumacher, the greatest Formula One driver in my personal generation. Someone that I knew his name without even watching the sport. And Lewis Hamilton, a black lad, has now leveled that. That is power. That is, for me personally, this is as powerful as a black power salute when it first got used in the 70s by the two black athletes. That's how iconic this is, because he's literally at the top now. Like the problem is there's not enough people of color at the top. That is the issue. The people that you can't tackle racism, and again, I don't want to bring Joe's comment up, but Joe made a comment saying he's too privileged not to comment, basically.
Yeah.
And you can't have someone tackling racism who can't be in a position to tackle it because he's never experienced it.
Exactly.
So for Lewis Hamilton to have gone through all that adversity to be the only, can you imagine the amount of shit that he must have received as being the only, like, for me personally, as an Asian lad, right, within this field of work of coaching, I have not seen another Asian lad at all, like in 5 years. I've seen literally one guy, right, and I'm starting to see a bit more now, because obviously society, thankfully, is going in the right direction. But when I started, I did not see one. I didn't see any Asian players, didn't see anything. And for me personally, I was always the outsider. I had to always work above and beyond. And I can't even comprehend what Lewis Hamilton's had to go through to just get there and just give hope. That's all it is. It's hope to now a black kid who wants to be a Formula One driver or wants to have some form of aspirations. It won't look at it and say, oh, there's not a black darts, for example, black darts champion, because Lewis Hamilton has fucking been there and done that. He's been the only black person in the whole of that flipping sport, and he's took it to the top. He's gone to the top. So he's iconic for me. Honestly, I think I'd put him up there with Muhammad Ali for me. Like, generally, that's like influential this moment is for me, because he has now set the benchmark to every other black kid that you can do it. You can break the stereotypes. You can go above and beyond, even if it's not the normality, even if it's a white dominant sport. I think tennis might be white dominant sport. You can do it. And I think for me personally, representation is everything, man. Like, Bobz, obviously, what are your thoughts on the importance of representation?
I mean, do you know when he done it? Yeah. It was monumental, bro, and I'm glad you touched on Muhammad Ali, because we didn't watch Muhammad Ali fight. We weren't alive when he fought. We know the stories, we watched the movies, but we can say we have watched, Lewis Hamilton dominate a sport that, let's be honest, if we're talking old slave mentality, he has no right being there. Let's, if we're going to talk like that, Lewis Hamilton talks about his story and stuff, how much hate he got, how much racism he used to get, but he's the real winner now. you know. And what is for me is when he did say that message when he done his victory lap. For me, it was like when Obama says, "I can," you know,
Yeah.
when he said change, I can. That's how powerful it was. And you know, I'm watching him and thinking, yeah, we're gonna break molds, and we've just done with that one. What's next? What can
Yeah.
I do next? You know, and it motivates you to be the best you can be, because do you know what? He's done it. He's proof.
Yeah.
What can they say now? There's only a few things they can say. Is talk about his attitude, or he's not even British, or they dilute his achievements. You can't
Yeah.
look. Numbers don't lie, as Jay-Z said. You know what I mean? Check the scoreboard. My guy is
Yeah.
up there. Yeah.
He's the
And
greatest.
he's
He's
the
up
greatest.
there.
Yeah, he's the greatest. And do you know what I think? He's now in a position that he can mentor future black drivers. He
Absolutely.
can mentor any if Formula One say, okay, we want to make the sport more diverse, he will be the representation to help make those decisions. And
That's
that's
what I'm
one of the
saying. Yeah.
problems in the UK is that people that make decisions on how to deal with racism or discrimination, sexist, whatever, all forms of discrimination. When it comes to representation about racism, there's no one that looks like me and you
Yeah.
in these rooms that are making these decisions. And for me, it's pinnacle what he done. It also just shows that no matter how hard you try, we will always be successful. Because the poison, the hate that people give us, yeah, just motivates us. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I saw it. I'm proud to say that I live in the era that he's completed it, because now I'm just thinking, right, Lewis, what's next? Let's get the eighth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he needs
Like,
to get the
let's
aid,
let's
man.
get to a point now where,
He has to bonify him and make. He needs to be the greatest.
do you know what I mean? And do you know Pierce Morgan, who is a bit of an idiot as well sometimes, but sometimes he does speak sense. And he did tweet, why hasn't he been knighted already?
Absolute disgrace.
Do you know? You have to ask yourself
I
that.
don't want to bring other people in, but Harry Kane and Gary Southgate got MBU for getting to a semi-final.
Of a
Like,
World Cup, mate. You're rewarding failure, basically. That's
yeah,
what it is. Let's be honest. You're rewarding failure because they didn't win anything.
yeah.
He's Lewis Hamilton.
That's what it comes back. That's what it comes back to. Though what we say with the Milner and Grealish example, they do the bare minimum to get the reward that we would have. Lewis Hamilton is just to put into context. He's level with Michael Schumacher, the greatest Formula One driver of all time. Like that is that's literally Ronaldo leveling Pele basically in terms of goals. Like that is unbelievable. Like it's unheard of. Like Schumacher is the GOAT. But like just coming back to representation, you said something there. Obviously, I think this is the problem in football, though. Just to bring it back to football, this is the problem in football. There isn't that representation. So, for example, like with black coaches, for example, there's none. Like, there's no black coaches. As a young black lad, you know, just hypothetically speaking, just say you finish your career, or you're gonna really want to go into coaching. There's no opportunities. Like Chris Hughton, one of the better coaches. I'm not saying he's like Pep Guardiola, etc. But the amount of times that I feel like he's been interviewed for a job as a tick box.
Oh, 100%.
And Sol, well, okay, I don't want to mention Sol Campbell because he's a flake. But but like for him as an example, because he's one that I respect highly. I just think how many times do you think he's been mentioned? We're just a tick box with these guys. At the end of the day, look at how many black managers are at the top of the game. Zero. Like Chris Hughton is probably I don't know, you tell me if I'm wrong, but he's probably the best one, like in terms of recognition. And you're telling me there's not other black coaches that can't get an opportunity. I know Thierry Henry has got an opportunity now, which is good to see. Hopefully he's successful. I don't know, there are others at lower clubs, but there's literally none at the top club, which for me personally, when we're speaking about representation, it's not just about, oh, let's just have a black guy there because we need to have a black guy there to take a box, or we need to have diversity. We've got a full classroom of white kids. Let's chuck a couple of black kids in there to sprinkle them. It's not about that. Yes, they need to be there on merit, but also the door needs to be open for them. And I feel like the door isn't open for them. Like how can you tell me, right, that there's not at least two black coaches in the Premier League. I'm not saying that the Premier League should just tick a box and say, okay, we need to have two black Premier League coaches, but why are they not getting any opportunities? Like, you know, I know a lot of media, I know a lot of English fans say, oh, the English managers don't get an opportunity at the top jobs. But you guys have got to look at least the fucking English managers get a chance.
Exactly.
You know, black managers don't get. I'm not going to talk about Asian managers because there's not even an Asian footballer. Hamza Chowdhury's like just about got in right now at Leicester. But like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, in terms of the sort of lack of opportunities, really.
I think. Do you know who I'm going to mention is Rio Ferdinand. Once said that there's no point in him becoming a coach because he doesn't see any. How deflating is that? You know, exactly. Imagine Rio Ferdinand, the career he had. Okay, the reason there's no representation is because I'm going to be very frank. No one wants a black coach. That's my opinion, and no one wants to take the gamble. You know, I look back at football, right, and I think of all these black players that were amazing at football. Are you trying to tell me they're not going to be all right at coaching or have some capacity that they can come in and help? Okay, not every black coach is going to be brilliant. I get that. Give them an opportunity, though. We're not even allowing them to fail.
I've got a story for you. And so this was my second. Obviously, we start with the personal experiences, and it's on this topic. So, obviously, just so you guys know, I can't name any names for obvious reasons. So just to give a quick backstory, I work for Sheffield United Community Foundation. I don't even know when to say that, but you know, we went into a meeting anyways, long story short. So we went to meet. So we have these regular meetings like once a month, give or take. I've been here for like 5 years now. So this is like my bread and butter. So this was like my first 2 years. So I was at my first year full time. I started voluntary. So I was a bit new to the job in it. So anyways, the call is into the canteen, you know, all the head scouts at Sheffield United are there. This guy has left, by the way, who's made this comment. So obviously it's irrelevant now, this information. So I'm sat there. There's me, only Asian lad, obviously. Everybody else is white. So I've got 20 people around me. That's why me, shock, I stand out like a sore thumb. Anyways, they're having a conversation, right? So this is how scouts work, right? So just so you guys get an understanding. They're talking about what we're looking for as a scout. So what's the sort of DNA, what physicality, etc. The tip boxes, so to speak. So this is what they say to me. They go, lads, when you guys are working, because we work in different areas in Sheffield, so we cover quite a lot of grounds, like different schools, etc. They're like, so when you're in certain schools in this area, they start naming loads of areas. So quite a few white. Sheffield, the thing with Sheffield is there's loads of areas that are predominantly like black, loads of areas that are predominantly white, Slovakian, Asian, etc. So it's very segregated for whatever reason. So they were like naming loads of areas where there's predominantly white people, and then they named one area that's predominantly full of black African people. So the area, obviously, if I say the area, people in Sheffield will know the areas quite well. Many Somali lads, but it's African descent. Many people from third world countries, that kind of thing. So, you know, it is where it's Ugandas, etc. But anyways, so they named that one area. So I was thinking in my head, I'm new to this whole thing, so I don't really know how it works. They were saying, so if you go to this area, make sure you look out for X, Y, and Z. And I was thinking, why are they sending so many scouts to this area? And they were like, yes, they were like, the reason we're sending so many people to this area is because obviously we know in particular what we look for in players is someone who's tall, strong, athletic, and who's tall, strong, and athletic. They didn't say it, but obviously you put the fucking dots in it. So they were like, obviously on the border, like, we're looking for tall, strong, athletic, physical, you know, the genetic shit that the labels of black athletes in it. But obviously I joined the dots in it because I'm fucking, you know, of ethnic minority. So I'm like, what? Like, and they were like, we need to make sure we go to this area. There's a lot of, you know, people from African descent, etc. Yada yada. He didn't say it directly, so I'm like, okay, fair enough. What is what it is, isn't it? Obviously, just casual racism. You know, I'm not Asian here, so I can't fucking say anything. Anyway, so then he was like, we don't want to go to this area at all. And I was thinking, right, okay. They were like, because, and he said it. He goes, because there's a lot of Asians in this area, and they're not they're not associated with playing football, or they're not.
Who gave that opinion?
They're not. No, but this is the head coach. Right? He's left Sheffield United. So don't be start filing reports and shit. He left like a year ago. I don't know if someone complained or whatnot. He left like a year after that. But he's basically saying we don't want to. He was basically saying, right. So coming back to representation. So you've got loads of people going to a community with a lot of African athletes potentially, because they fit the mold, so to speak, but literally none going to Asian communities. So basically, they've got 0% chance of having any form of getting in. Basically, even if and I know my brother commented saying, he knew a lot of Asian players that were absolutely phenomenal players, and I could vouch for that. And when I say Asian, I'm on about Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian, and Sri Lankan, obviously, Chinese, Japanese, except they do obviously get in. But so the point being is, right, this was a head coach, and this is what they look for. This is known as casual racism, basically. I don't even know if they know that it's racism, because in there, nobody disagreed with it. Nobody said anything of it. No, everyone was like, that sounds good, etc. And the thing is, this happens all the time. You've got to bear in mind, right? I was in the room, I was present, and they said it in front of me, so they know that it's not racist. Sorry, let me rephrase that. They think it's not racist because to them it's not. But obviously, to us, as soon as I said it, you rolled your eyes. I didn't need to say anything else. You knew exactly why it's racist. Yes, but they don't understand that. And that is the casual racism that is so ingrained in society that they don't think it's racist. When you come back to those, what you were saying at the start in your personal experience, that when, they have those passing comments, etc. This is the problem with society, and it's going to be difficult to overcome that, not just in football, but as a whole in general, because the only way to overcome that is by going to the core root, which is education, and educating people from the get-go. I teach kids on a daily basis from all ethnicities. They are not racist, these kids. They're like 10, 11, whatever years old. None of these kids are racist. They're all integrated. They're playing with the black lad. They're playing with the Asian lad. They're playing with the green lad. They're playing with the blue. They don't give a shit. Let's go play TIG. Let's go play football. They don't care. The problem is, it's taught. Racism is taught. And at the moment, it's being taught by the higher ups. So people in power are teaching subconsciously or unsubconsciously. I don't know, because I don't know the people personally. Like the Greg, whatever his fucking name is, Clark or whatever his name is. Greg, what's his name? Greg Clark.
Greg Clark. Yeah.
For example, he said that comment. How many times has he said that comment to other people? They've passed that down. It gets filtered down. That is the problem. People are passing down this information, and it's never going to stop, realistically speaking, because unless a black person is in power, and obviously Obama was in power, but unless a black person is in power at the top of the FA, which is never going to happen, but that's the only way it can get rectified, because a black person's experienced that. And for me personally, just coming back to obviously, personal experiences, etc.
Yeah,
I think that is the issue at the moment. The issue is there's no ramifications towards it. This guy probably kept his job. I don't know where he is now. He's probably a head scout somewhere else. He's probably doing this somewhere else, another club. And that is the problem. Like for you, what do you reckon in terms of like ramifications? Do you feel like there is enough? No one gets called out, and you experienced it at Sunday League. That guy really should have got banned. The guy that was racist to you from Sunday League, obviously the manager who was racist to me, again, should have got banned as well, but they didn't. So where do we go from here?
So do you know the funny thing is, right? I was talking to Haida, right? And obviously, we're on a team now, we're on the show, and also we speak outside YouTube and stuff, and my political backgrounds and stuff, and and it's funny, isn't it, how that guy had already just given an opinion of the Asian community, right? And it's just like there was no regard. It was just like, we don't need to go.
Sorry, let me just read this comment out from Koda, because it's Koda's put that's disgusting. This thing I said all the time in London too. I've had young Asian kids come and tell me they've already been told football isn't for them. It's fucking annoying. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. It's constant.
Regarding that, I have a friend called Omar, and listen, when I say this guy's left foot was a wand, I'm talking. What's that girl? Hermione couldn't even get near this guy with the wand, right? I was in his team many times. He got the same thing, and he stopped because he was like, "There's no point." But what I was trying to get to at the awareness of like casual racism, it's so interesting that they wouldn't regard or even consider the Asian boys. And obviously, when they went to the black communities, they were just looking for the physical athletic type. Isn't
That's
it
literally what
funny
the
how?
criteria was, man. It's
Yeah,
mad.
yeah. Isn't it funny that I relate it to food, Usman? In
Right.
these households, when they're hungry and they say they don't want to cook. Isn't it interesting that they are aware of so many different cuisines?
Really, all of a sudden, the experts in curry and whatnot.
Do you know what I'm saying to them? And it's like, so if you are aware that you can get Afro-Caribbean, Afro food, Caribbean food, and when I say Asian food, you can get Pakistan food, you can get Indian food, you can get Thai, you can get Chinese food. Bro, I'm educated on all of that, right? I know the difference. So if you're willing to sit there through your phone book or go on Google and just look and try and make yourself aware of what different foods you can get from all these different countries, why would you not give the people that make these foods the same energy and the same time if they want to play football? Okay, and that's really my answer to that, because I could have said so many things, and you stop getting angry. You just try and work harder because you think,
absolutely.
okay, no problem. I personally think, from what you said, my friend, is that this is why I'm so passionate about changing. This is why I'm so passionate about getting things changed. Because do you know what? Once you change someone's mind, you change their attitude. Then once you change that individual's mind and attitude, they then change their friend, their sibling, their household. Okay? And we need to remember, there's a new generation coming up, younger than you and I. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's where I've got hope. You've got coaches like Kojo, coaches like yourself. I can actually say I have a friend that coaches up in Scotland. He's the first black reserve manager. To be the first of something in 2020 is fucking sad. However, it's a position that we can be joyful because now we have representation, And do you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I grew up with a lot of Asian boys, and I tell you what, they were really good at football. Now, I'm not putting a stereotype to say all Asian players are great at football. I'm just saying, but the ones I knew, a lot better than me.
But that comes back to representation. Like, no,
I'll conclude my answer. What we need to do, we need to say, okay, you get the tokenistic, but just to say, like, actually, do you know what? And this is what I said to the politicians. I said, do you know what, right? You don't want to go to that community because you feel like you're gonna not get it right or get the language wrong. Okay, do you know what? Yeah. How can you relate to that community? Well, I know Kojo, actually. Do you know what? I know Kojo, and they'll probably relate to Kojo more. Hire Kojo. Kojo, we want you to teach us, help us learn how we can engage and communicate with people from these communities. Okay? Because I'll tell you something right now. If they send Kojo into these communities, they're more likely to engage the Kojo and probably listen and take it more serious, which then will put that facilitation, that organization in a good position, because actually, do you know what? We're also learning from our colleague in Coach Kojo, and Kojo is also engaging. So we need these people. It's not about tokenism. It's about to say we want to be more diverse. Okay? The same way when you go home and you think you argue with your partner, Chinese or curry or so and so and so. You have a diverse decision when it comes to your palate. So why not for your mind? So that's what we need.
No, I 100% hear you, man. Like 100% hear you. I think it's important in terms of diversity. It's definitely important. You actually said something that would lead me on to my next sort of segment, and it's the BLM movement. And you said about tokenism. Obviously, we've spoken about tick boxes already, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I think this is both tokenism and tick box, and I'll explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
First and foremost, when I say BLM movement, I'm talking about in football, by the way. I'm not talking about in general. I'm talking about
the kneeling down and stuff.
Yeah. So again, I refer back to the Black Power salute in the 70s, massively iconic. I don't know the brothers' names, but they finished first and second in athletics. I think I can't remember if it's 100 meters.
That was in Germany.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So iconic, right? Very iconic. Obviously, they stood on the podium and they did the Black Power salute, which is where it originates from.
Mm-hmm.
The 70s in general was a massive time for this movement. But flash forward to 2020, which we've seen it a lot in the latter stages of last season, and it's coming through. When it first happened, all the players taking a knee, I was all over for it. You know, we've seen it in NBA. A lot of the players are taking a knee. Sorry, in American football as well, the players taking a knee. Some of them are having retrospective bans from the
Yeah.
bloody flipping fucking president of America saying you can't be taking a knee, which is an absolute disgrace. But we're not touched upon American bloody racism.
That guy's another conversation, man. Let's just keep
it will
it
be all night.
whole
But yeah, just coming back to what I'm saying. First and foremost, they had to do it. The BLM thing, they had to do it because of what happened in America. With George Floyd, you know, even FIFA put it in their game at a point. Call of Duty put it in their game.
Yeah.
All of these companies had to do it, and the Premier League are just another sort of franchise. Exactly. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy they've done it, but I feel like they should have done something what I would have preferred, which is educating. That's what they should have done. Sitting down, right? And I'm gonna just be real. Sitting down, kneeling down, and putting your hand up is fucking beautiful. When I first saw it, I almost had a tear in my eye because I know what it means. I know what it means because I've done my research for my dissertation 5 years ago. I knew what it meant anyways prior to the dissertation, but no one knows the importance of that. No one knows what that means. What does it mean for Pogba and I don't know, Lacazette to be stood on the side of the half and kneeling down with a hand in the air? What does that actually mean? Why they don't know? They've never been. The Premier League haven't gone out of their way to educate people. You look at what Marcus Rashford doing. One human being is feeding all these people, right?
Yeah.
And now he released his books. Why couldn't the Premier League release an initiative explaining what Black Lives Matter movement is, or the Black Power salute, hand salute? Sorry. Why have they not done that? Because the reason is that is the thing that's going to make the difference. If a kid sees their favorite player doing it, they might imitate that, and yes, it will help. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying they've just done the bare minimum to tick a box.
Yeah, 100%.
They're multi-billion brand company franchise, whatever you want to call it, and they could have just done so much more. Like, I just feel like, for me personally, it's massively disappointing. That is one thing that's disappointing. I think now it's become a token gesture because they're doing it every single game. And again, I'm all for them doing it, but it seems like the meaning's gone behind it. Like when it was done in the 70s, when it was first done, it was iconic. Lewis Hamilton did it after he won that race. Was that photo on his Instagram with him doing, stuff there doing that. It is iconic because he's not doing it every race. Like if he does it every single race, it loses its strength. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you need to ensure every time you do it, it still has the same magnitude. And it's like with the clapping for the NHS, for example, every Thursday. The first maybe 2-3 times max, you felt it because it felt like a community showing the respect. And I'm sure my sister was a key worker and she appreciated the first 3 times she took part. Obviously, I did out of respect for her and obviously everyone else on my street. But after the 3rd time, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th time, I didn't not acknowledge that them clapping, but I just felt like it's done. Like you don't need to keep going. Like educate people. Why are you clapping for? Like for me personally, you need to educate people. Why are you clapping? You're clapping for the NHS. Why are you clapping for the NHS? What are the NHS? There's people that will be stood there clapping. We haven't got a fucking clue what we're clapping about, but everyone's doing it. So let's all just take part. And that's what I felt like the BLM movement was, especially the Black Power salute. I just felt like it became a token gesture because they did it, which was good, but they didn't educate anyone. Why are you doing it? What's the history behind? Why are they doing that? What does it mean? Because there's going to be so many people, not just Caucasian people, or even ethnic minorities, are going to be like, "What is that? Like, why are they doing that?" Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying, Usmaan. Do you know what? Right? Do you know if you're an alcoholic, right? You go to AA meetings. Why do you go to AA meetings? To learn how to educate yourself on controlling your addiction, right? So they teach you, they make you go through courses and stuff. Yeah. Now, with racism, right? Instead of the whole BLM movement, listen, some of the stuff that I went to the protests in Edinburgh and it was moving. I got interviewed by a a local newspaper and stuff. But like for me, yeah, see when I saw the kneeling down, I literally was shouted out, "Well, this is a fucking joke, isn't it?" Right? And the reason why I said that, my friend, is because the kneeling down has got nothing to do with the message. It's all visual, Usman.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, we can see they're doing something. No, they're not. Because do you know what? Like you said, ask any of these players. Do you have an idea of what Black Lives Matter means to anyone? What's the image? What is the image and what is the message? Okay, the Premier League are bothered about the image, so they do the whole kneeling down. I remember seeing Liverpool and Chelsea kneeling down and doing like a letter or something. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What? Is that what you want to do? No, that's stupid. And what they should do is invest some millions, because they are a multi-billionaire, whatever company, and say, look, guys, do you know what, actually? 4 hours a week, make it weekly, not quarterly or monthly, and learn. Get these teachers in, get these people in, so they can understand it's deep rooted. It's not just because, may you rest in peace, George Floyd was recorded dying for 9 minutes 30 plus seconds. It's not just because of that. It's because 400 years ago, me and you would have been slaves. Okay, it's not just because it's because of Harriet Tubman. It's for Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, all these people that have paved a way for me and you to be able to sit freely on YouTube, on the internet, to talk how we want. We need to understand how far these people have come. The foreign black players, the foreign white players, fucking the British white players all need to understand, because some of these guys will just say, oh, I've got a black mate, I'm not racist. Fuck that. You know, invest. The same way you want to invest in grassroots, where you want the youngsters to encourage them playing football, invest in the education, because do you know what? Knowledge is power. Okay? And once you teach someone in their minds, I'll say it again, the attitudes change. And then you'll probably start seeing a massive difference in people's behaviors. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about the fans, I'm talking about the players. Okay? We see, it annoys me sometimes. I see people kneeling down, putting the arm up, and they're getting a picture of it uploaded on Instagram. And it's like these messages, we're all here for the people together. Shut the fuck up. Fuck off. Because do you know what? If George Floyd doesn't die, no one does any of this shit.
This is the thing. This is the thing for me, because like, again, I'm all for them trying to do something positive. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it, but what I'm saying is, like, exactly what you just said. Where was this energy before? Why did it take someone to die for people to realize, oh, racism is a thing? And again, I mean, I would may rest in peace, obviously George Floyd. And I just think that's the problem for me. Like, what this has been. Again, to bring it back to football, let me just obviously, but there's a couple of comments here actually. I'll read these out before.
Yeah,
Joe saying, I don't know if anyone said it, but fuck the sun, 100%. Richard saying, you see NBA players do similar things. Westbrook setting up a literacy program for children in, I'm assuming OKC is Oklahoma. I don't know if that's wrong. I might be wrong. Do correct me. I'm pretty assuming that's wrong.
I think it's Oklahoma. OKC. Yeah.
I'm guessing it is. I feel like a lot of the organizations are just doing it to keep face, or not lose their profits. Obviously, money controls, and obviously money. I don't know. Money control. That doesn't make sense. Money controls power, I think he's trying to say. They will never end this, as it's not deep rooted from 100 years ago. Yeah, 100%. And I think the saying that comes to mind, and it's not really used in this sort of setting, but I will use it, is, you can give a man a fish, you can feed him for a day. You can teach a man to fish, he'll never go hungry. And what I mean by that in this sense is, you can show them, look, this is the Black Power salute, and this is what we're doing. They'll do it for a day, and they'll be like, okay, brilliant. If you educate them and the meaning behind it, why you were doing it, what happened in the 70s, where did it originate from, why is this a movement, not just because of George Floyd, but why is this such a big thing, why do we need to tackle racism, and actually educate them, then they'll have that for the rest of their life. Like you said, knowledge is power. You know, nobody's born racist. Nobody,
100% no.
Nobody comes into this universe and say, "Oh, I'm not," like as a baby or like as a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year old saying, "I don't want to sit with him. He's black or he's brown or he's yellow or he's blue." They get taught that. It's taught. So how about you teach him how to accept everyone from different diversities? And I think that's where, for me personally, the Premier League have failed with this message. I respect him in the sense that they've done it, but for me personally, they've just done the bare minimum to tick a box. That's just my personal thought.
Who's in the room making these decisions?
That motherfucker that's raised himself. There you go.
No, it's such a knee-jerk reaction.
But that's the thing, though. Like, he must have seen that. He must have said, "We're gonna have to do something. We will have to do something. Otherwise, everyone's gonna be like, why the Premier League not do X, Y, Z? We're such a global brand." And that's what it comes down to. If that, again, I don't want to sound too like direct, but if that's a black guy in charge, hypothetically speaking, or a brown guy, whatever, they can be like, we need to educate people on this matter. You know, you look at Kick It Out, Show Racing the Record, Kick It Out, my local, which is Football United's Racing Divide, and all these organizations, they've been working tirelessly for years without any success, really. Like, again, some of the incidents that I can just reel off to you guys. We've had the Yaya Toure incident. There was no ramifications for that. You know, we've had the John Terry one. We've had the Boateng one. We've had flipping Luis Suarez. We've had so many high profiles.
The boy at Chelsea. It was at Tottenham. What's his name?
Anton
Rudiger.
Oh, Rudiger recently, Anton Ferdinand, Depay. I can go on. I can name so many incidents. And they didn't do fucking shit. They didn't do nothing about it. They sent a message out. Messi, can you say no racism in your Spanish language? Ronaldo, all these mixed race players, make sure we got a bit of everyone. That's not gonna do shit. Educate the people. If you really give a shit about something, you do it properly. And that is the message from me. And I'm assuming Bobz will say it. If you really care about this matter, do it. Don't half-arse it. Don't do it half. Do it 100%. I don't want to see no 50-50 shit. Do it properly. No token gestures. No ticker box. Educate them on them. Why are you doing it? Don't just make a fucking promo video saying no to racism. It means nothing to anybody. It means 100%. Nothing. Even to me, if I look at that, I don't think, oh, I'm not going to be racist today. Obviously, I'm not racist, but I wouldn't look at it and think, oh, I'm not going to be racist because Messi said it. Like,
it's not phase, Usmaan. This is the point. It's not phase.
In the past, Suarez and John Terry have been on videos and they're fucking racist. So, like,
but we've seen John Terry kneel. I started laughing. I was like, really?
Well, for Aston Villa, oh my god! I've never felt so disgusted in my life. But listen, we have gone slightly over, but I do want to finish on this last topic, which is media-driven racism. In particular with players at the moment. You know, we saw a comment, I think Keishan said it earlier, saying Raheem Sterling was one of the first people to speak out about racism. Just before we go, I say racism, about the media sort of attacking him, or sort of indirectly attacking him. But let's just quickly answer this question from Joe, because I've actually got an opinion on this. Do you guys want a Black History Month in the UK?
There is.
We do have one. October, isn't it?
Yeah, we just had it in my workplace, and obviously, you know, I don't really want to touch up on it too much, but you know, obviously, you know, I'm the leader of the BAME network in my work, and we just had Black History Month, and what we done, what we decided, because there's no hierarchy. I've got the title, but I uploaded profiles of people of BAME within where I work. So people could actually, instead of putting up Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, all that, I made it relevant to my organization to say, are you aware Joe Bloggs from Jamaica is a so-and-so in this department? And gave them like an article and a piece to write about themselves. You know, that's what we have Black History Month. But, you know, this is a question I get asked all the time about history. But listen, every day to me is a black day because I'm a black man. You know, to me, every day Black History Month is every day because I have to talk about it. I need to teach people about it. So, Joe, I get what you're saying, you know, and like, go you for actually engaging in this conversation, because we need to emphasize this, man. People use these words allies and stuff. There are friends out there and aren't really lovely people who are white who feel the same way we do.
Absolutely.
And are very passionate and vocal. However, some people aren't because they don't know how to address it and attack it. And I have to say, in Scotland, I'm very fortunate that I'm surrounded by so many people of different races that are very passionate about this.
Yeah, no, I think.
You go.
Yeah, no, but I think that's so important. I think it's key that you have other people that are fighting the battle as well. I think, strength in numbers, so to speak, and it's important that there are other people that are supporting that movement. But what I will say is, just coming back to Black History Month, is it is UK. I thought it was October, but I don't know
Yeah,
why.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I completely just slipped my mind is because I didn't even know about it
Mm.
at all, and I think, although I like Black History Month and I like the concept, again, it just kind of opens up to more racism. People are like, why have they got a month? Why have we not got a month? Do you know what I mean? It's like, not that I give a shit about what they think, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like Black history should be history all the year. It shouldn't be just.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, let me just give you a scenario. So obviously, when I did history at primary school,
Fantastic.
etc.
Rich Sports, that's fantastic.
What did you say?
Good.
My children are now starting to be taught Black history in school. Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. And I think it is important. But this is the problem, and this comes back to the education system. I don't want to veer too off topic because obviously we're talking about football and racism.
Yeah.
But I'll say it anyways. The problem is, it shouldn't just be Black History Month. You should know about everyone's history, like Jewish history, for example. Obviously, I'm Muslim, so people will associate Muslim and Jews with not getting on, but it's not like that at all. Like, I should know about Jewish history. I should know about Muslim history. I should know about Black history. I should know about Asian history. You should be taught everyone's history, because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're going to respect everybody.
And it represents society.
Exactly.
It represents where we live.
You should be taught about it. This isn't just about Black people. This isn't just about brown people. This is about everyone. Everyone should be treated equally. Therefore, your knowledge on everyone should be equal, in the sense that, and again, I can speak for myself here. My knowledge of Chinese history, for example, is non-existent. I was never taught it. Like, I'm not saying that we should be taught Chinese history, but there should be a variety in the education that we receive, and not just specifics to the country you're in. And that goes for other countries as well. They should know about everybody. And I think Black History Month is brilliant, but we should know about slave trade from day dot. I don't need to wait for the month to be learning about slave trade or the Black Power Salute. Why do I need to wait for October to learn that? You should know about that in September or August or July or whenever it is. Like, it doesn't need to wait for October. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, just teach me it during the year. You can come back to that. Rosa Parks, Muhammad Ali, what he did with Malcolm X in the 70s. These are iconic moments in the history of us not being slaves. This is, and even iconic.
If you don't want to talk about American stuff, talk about Britain. Let's talk about, do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Are you trying to tell me there wasn't black and brown soldiers that fought in the war?
For example, the Sikh soldiers, there was a huge part.
Oh my God, yes.
Indian soldiers, I don't know, I can't remember the name. I know they had like a name for their sort of group, but there are a lot of Sikh soldiers that don't ever get recognition from, like, when people say, lest we not forget, of course, but always we need to show respect to the dead, etc. And obviously those who served in the army, but they never get mentioned. Why is that not in history? It's not, but that's what I mean. It's selective education. They're not telling you that people who wore turbans went to serve your country, or people that were Asian served your people. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, you never hear about that. You never hear about. I don't know. I'm a Pakistani guy, and I'm talking about Indians. Yeah, I don't have an agenda. Obviously, Pakistan and India don't have the greatest of histories, but I would like. I feel like that's important. That you need to know about everybody, and I think that's what it comes down to. But just coming back onto the topic, and this is what. It kind of leads me onto it nicely. Anyways, I think the main issue at the moment in this society, and football in particular, is the media. The media brainwashes everybody. Like, simple as that. You can think from a society perspective. You can think of a football. Obviously, this is about football in particular. So, a couple of examples. Obviously, the Raheem Sterling situation has been going on for years. Raheem Sterling bought his mum a house, I believe, after England got kicked out of the Euros. Although
because Harry Kane didn't pass to him, but anyway.
Yeah. But anyways, they got kicked out. Obviously, the news headline literally read, England failure, Sterling buys his mum a house. And something like the lines that he's
flashy,
not upset about.
Flashy.
Flashy, that was the word. And obviously, Phil Foden's bought a house for his mum recently, which is brilliant. Every kid dreams of doing that. Completely nothing wrong with that. Oh, Phil Foden, amazing. And it's completely different. Like the media brainwash people. You see it all the time with Pogba. Even the other day, literally 2 days ago, Pogba did something for a French newspaper. His words got completely misconstrued and manipulated in a manner which makes him look as a bad person. Why are they doing that constantly to Pogba? But he's not the only person that's playing bad in Manchester United. We've got Luke Shaw's done fuck all for about 10 years. He's just got 2 assists in 2 weeks, which is the most. He's leveled the most amount of assists he's got in 6 years at Man United. Hardly any mention of Luke Shaw ever. And I'm not saying criticize Luke Shaw or have a witch hunt at him, but what I'm saying
the same energy.
The energy is never the same. Rashford has just fucking done everything that you could ever ask for flipping from a government. My man's done it as a flipping footballer that doesn't need to do it. Multi-millionaire footballer, buys a couple of houses for his family. What is a campaigning Rashford buys houses, trying to insinuate that this guy doesn't really give a shit about the poor because he's a multi-millionaire, like trying to just brainwash people, taking credit away from somebody. And it's blatant racism. They're targeting him. It comes back to the comment that the United Way said. In fact, no, it was what's his name again? The guy who's on this podcast, Stephen. Yeah, so it comes back to what Stephen said. They don't like black athletes. I would say black athletes because obviously there's no Asian ones. But black athletes with some form of power and money, they love to tear them down. The media love it. The media love to paint them as a bad guy, even though when in Rashford's case, he's going above and beyond to be a good guy. And like, how important do you think of an impact is the media on this? Is the way people think and the way people like look at people from ethnic minorities?
It's 100% poison. So that when I answer that, 100% effective. Because do you know why? It's funny because if you do your history, guys, the words they use, right, in the old slave days, similar to the very same words: monster, smart, attitude.
It's all terminology. They're very clever with the terminology.
That's that language, that on the eye when reading, you're like, oh, shut up. But these adjectives are very, very, very casual racism, bro. I'm gonna bring this up here. Paul Pogba, okay, gets stick when he doesn't play football for us or when he does. Okay,
there's a comment here from Rich, literally saying that didn't Pogba get stick after Istanbul from Paul fucking Scholes to blaming Pogba when Pogba played 25 minutes? Like what?
Yeah, so there you go. So the thing is, do you know what? When you're a kid, you read a book with pictures, right? And it has words on it. So it can give you an idea. Then as you get older, you start to read books without pictures because the adjectives and the nouns and so on. That paints a picture so you can get the story. This is just what the media are doing. As we got older, we were reading books. We know the language. Me and you, because of we're black and you're Asian, we know the type of languages. And some people don't. Now, here comes the funny part. If I wrote anyone that writes anything about Paul Pogba, lazy Pogba.
Absolutely.
On your building sites, in your offices, that Pogba was lazy. You don't know him personally. But these languages they use, they paint a picture and then they create a narrative and then they create an agenda. Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, let me flip it, Usmaan, okay? Paul Pogba does not drink alcohol. You've never heard of a love scandal. You have never heard of him beating up anyone. You have never heard of him crashing a car, not going to jail, okay? This guy gets a haircut. He dances at his own brother's wedding. Now, you know what? They even ridiculed Salah for this, for dancing at his brother's wedding. Let me tell you something what the Brits don't like, and I'm going to say it here. They do not like a black, talented, rich athlete, period. And what happens? We have personalities. We like to smile. We like to dance. We like to joke. Okay? They want robots. Okay? They want robots, bro. And
I think it's not even that they want robots. They just don't. They don't like anything different to what they're used to. Like anyone that's obviously it's culture for people from Africa to dance. In general, like it's just literally part of their DNA. Like as it is for us Asians, we dance obviously Bhangra as we call it, but they just don't understand it. And anything that they don't find as a normality to them, they find it very alien. To which they try to ridicule those people for that.
And Usmaan, can we just? I know we're going to be wrapping up soon, but can we just dissect just a little bit for you when there's white players that had crashed cars that could have killed someone. Okay,
Grealish recently as well, breaking lockdown rules.
Grealish came out and gave an interview. You know, okay. Harry Maguire got arrested, got charged for bribery,
got an interview.
Got an interview. Paul Pogba gets a haircut.
No interview.
He gets called the virus. Okay.
For getting a haircut.
We are dealing with a pandemic right now, a virus that can kill people. That's what they're labeling him as. Okay. Now, the Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood. I'm just going to quickly touch on this. Okay.
Yeah. No, I was going to go to that.
This is when I see systematic racism. Okay.
100%.
And because we have a black gentleman and we have a white gentleman. Okay. We have a black single gentleman and we have the white gentleman who has a partner. I don't know if it's a wife or not, and a child. Okay. So, who has more right to be in the company of females in that narrative? Mason Greenwood, the black gentleman. Now let's fast forward. Okay. They talk about protecting the players and so on. Pep Guardiola is still playing Phil Foden. Okay. Mason Greenwood. What happens is that your attitude, they start labeling you, he's got an attitude, he's poor, he's this. Okay. This is where I like Pep, because with the whole Raheem Sterling thing, with the World Cup and stuff, he came out and backed Sterling. Okay. You know, and you can imagine that's a manager that's for you. Well, remember, Pep's from Catalonia, so he's all about propaganda anyway, right? Where I'm trying to go with this is that look at the careers. Look at the timelines now. A single black male was in a room with a female. A white male who has a partner, a relationship, and a family man was doing the same thing. We didn't even know who the girl was. We didn't even know who the baby was. Now, I go back to a certain Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We knew the girls' names. We knew the pictures. Okay? Do you see the difference here? Look at Greenwood's career. They're saying Mason knows what he needs to do. Fracas with Mason Greenwood. Sorry? How do people that are reporting this? Are you actually on Carrington's training pitch, on the grass, on the 5G parks? Are you actually breaking bread with Ollie over breakfast to get these newspapers? Do you even know him? It's the language in the media, and that's where I say it's inheritance, systematic racism, and that's when I say the setups to fail. Because do you know what? What Mason done last season on the football pitch, okay, you shouldn't even come near him. You should leave him alone.
100%.
Leave him alone. Leave him the fuck alone. And do you know what they don't like? They don't like the fact they can't control us. And when I say us, I say the black community. Mason's a kid, Usmaan. Do you know what I mean? He's like 18, 19-year-old. They don't like it when they see us do good, so they try and bring us down. With Rashford, they're trying to dilute what he done.
They're massively trying to discredit what he's doing, but it's not working at all.
No, because this is the power of social media now, you know? And this is what I said earlier in the podcast with the new generation, you know? Because they're like, no, you can't. Why are you saying that? We're calling it out. And this is why I love football Twitter. And this is why I love social media. And this is why I love engaging with different people. Because what the media are doing now, it's not about football. It's society. Yeah. They're basically showing your opinion of someone doesn't mean your opinion is factual. That's the difference of a newspaper. It's opinions being written. You know? Man, seriously. Boy, I could be here all night, Usmaan.
Yeah, no, we could, to be fair. There's so much more that I want to touch on, but obviously we're not going for too much longer. I just want to get a few more comments in. Just a massive shout out to everyone that's watched the, practically the entire show. Rich, Joe, obviously the United way, which is my brother, that's watched the show. Anyone else that's still here, obviously I appreciate you guys as well. Just to get some people's comments on here. So Mason Greenwood's, this is from Joe. See, Mason Greenwood's friend killed himself, and sadly, again, I don't know his name, so I can't comment on it. But
Winstein, I think that's his name.
Oh, okay. And the son spread lies that he lost his mind and kidnapped his 70-year-old girlfriend. Could you imagine that happened to Phil Foden? To be honest with you, listen, I just think for me personally, right, I think the saddest thing is he's a 19-year-old lad. He's going through a difficult time. If you actually watch his personal social media and what he posted a video of him with his celebration that was in memory of his mate that passed away. Against RB Leipzig, he scored that goal that Pogba set him up, and he didn't celebrate. He went down straight onto his knees, did the cross, put his hands to the sky for his mate. Like, that actually made me emotional watching that, because he's a 19-year-old lad. He shouldn't be having to go through that. We spoke a lot about Maguire and the mental sort of battle that he has to overcome. I personally said that we need to back him because of the mental battle, because he can't disregard that. We've got actually a podcast tomorrow on mental health awareness as well, so we'll talk about that later. But just come back to Greenwood. Maguire gets an interview, sits down with Dan Rowan, who was literally the top of the BBC, one of the top. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting him, a lovely person. And also Greenwood, nothing. Foden got away with the absolute same. And I'm not saying Foden should be lambasted for it, because it was such a minor thing for me personally. But just the energy is nowhere near the same. It's not even remotely close. Just before bringing, I think the problem is brainwashing the public, because people will read that and say Greenwood's doing X, Y, and Z. Why is Greenwood doing that? They use this terminology that brainwashes people. Black athlete. They won't use the word black athlete, but they make it out. It's quite evident that he's off color. And it's just constant. Like the energy is always different in the media. And I'm happy, as you said, that social media, in particular football, Twitter, it is changing that slightly, but they still have too much power. They brainwash too many people. Too many people believe everything they read about Pogba as soon as it's Pogba. However, if it's a white guy or Caucasian guy, they get the benefit of the doubt, as they did with Maguire. Let's see the full story. Again, I'm not opposed to that, but why is there not being the full story for Greenwood, Pogba, Rashford, etc.? It's never the same. But yeah, sorry, as you were saying.
No, do you know? And this is my last thing I'm going to say on that, is that you know how we'll talk about representation.
Yeah.
Man United are failing our black players as well, okay? Because no one is coming out to condemn this. 100%. No one is coming out to say enough is enough. Why, do you know, like, can you imagine if we had an Andy Cole or a Rio Ferdinand, where these guys like that can play a liaison can go into, because Harry Maguire's not putting his arm around Greenwood right now to say, oh, I know what you're going for, because you don't. And this is where, like, I talk about organizations and stuff, and this is where I always blame the clubs as well, as much as the media, because you've got a duty of care to protect this player. When he's doing well, you laud him, you applaud him, you have him doing all the social PR stuff. Yeah. When he's being attacked, that's when you stand by him, because.
But they stood by Maguire, didn't they? So.
Well, there you go. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out and done a press conference. He didn't have to do anything of that. But with Greenwood, Pogba, and now they're going for Rashford. Bro, like, I mean, I just want to say, why do you hate us so much? Why?
It comes back to what we said right at the start of the podcast. It comes back to right at the start of what we said of the podcast, just to summarize that. They just don't like you. They just don't like black people being successful. It's as simple as that. In their head, they've got this ingrained picture of it should always be white people on top, Caucasian people on top, and black people should always be below them. They have that. Some, not all of them. Most of you know so many people that aren't like that. Of course, they don't have that mindset. The older generation still have that. The older generation still have the mindset. And sadly, the older generation is the ones that run the newspaper, the one that give the go-ahead for press, the one that Greg Clark prick says, "Oh, let's do this. Let's go on money for all these colored people," or whatever he said. I can't remember what he said, but. Like, the people at the top got that backwards mindset. Until the people at the top are removed or changed, they will never be changed within the sport, and they will never be changed in society. And I think that's what it comes down to. Obviously, just to finish on, I remember this as well. Graham Soon is talking about Pogba, and I was after a game that Pogba had was absolutely phenomenal. Like, just had one of his best games in terms of everything that he did, not just as like general play, but. And he literally said he was powerful, he was athletic, he was strong, like all the sort of stereotypical thing you'd associate with a black athlete, and never credited him for his actual football ability, his dribbling on the ball, and his technical ability. And it just
why can we not be cultured? Why can we not have a cultured right foot?
Exactly, it comes back to what I said with the scout. At the end of the day, that is sadly the situation at the moment. The people at the top are racist, basically, or the people at the top have some form of systemic racism, and until that changes, sadly, this will never really change. But listen, I just want to finish with a few comments here. Oh, sorry, the media is terrible yesterday. Rich saying, do you see any parallels with Iverson? Amazing talent, but the people running the NBA had issues with him. I've got to be honest,
he's a smart guy. Yeah,
I don't know much about the NBA.
Yeah, basketball. Rich Sports, because Iverson had a vision. Okay, and if you watch basketball, Rich Sports, you saw Iverson was a personality. And you know, in America, the thing about America, this is why I love America, Rich and Usman, is because most of these players have to go to college or university. They
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
of course.
maintain. They're very well educated,
Education has to be high.
smart.
Yeah, yeah, that's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
so they're very smart. So like when they come up with ideas, it's just at a bad time that they didn't want to see another black person to own it. Look at what's happening now. In America, NBA, NFL is 85-90%
Yeah.
dominant of black players, yet we don't have any black owners. What does that tell you?
Listen, I honest to God, I laugh because it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I can think of so many other sports that are the same. It's just, yeah, literally, it's all the
Listen,
time, man.
we took
Constant.
basketball, we've done NFL, we dominate football, we dominate Formula One. As soon as they put a heater in the ice hockey, bro, we're coming for that as well.
Right, just to finish with this couple, that's crack up there. Right, this has been a truly eye-opening show, which has been a privilege to learn about the unfortunate world we live in. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to know you too. Thank you very much, Joe, for your lovely comments. Rich, also a massive shout out to you, and of course the United Way for watching the entirety of the show. Just want to say a massive thank you to my guest, or I say guest, my homie co-host, Bits and Bobz, my brother. Obviously, make sure you stay tuned on the channel. Drop a like, subscribe if you are new, all that good stuff. And obviously, the whole point of these shows are to raise awareness. It's not about anything else. It's not about the plaudits or anything like that. It's just about spreading some positivity and raise awareness. We've got another another video tomorrow. Me and Keyshan, we're going to be doing another video, a taboo topic, especially in Asian communities, which is mental health.
I look forward to that.
And that is not just going to be football related. That is going to be general men's mental health, because I feel that's another important topic that we don't want to shy away from. Obviously, going to be discussing suicide rates. Going to be discussing, issues with the men's mental health and how we can potentially combat that, and hopefully just have an open conversation. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But apart from that, we'll be back tomorrow. Massive shout out to everyone who's tuned in. And yeah, we'll catch you soon. Before I do go, make sure you check out Bits and Bobz, because he does this on the reg. Do you want to just quickly shout out your social? Because obviously,
Yeah. So obviously that's my Twitter handle there, and check me on Instagram with that Twitter handle, and you'll see. And please subscribe to my channel, Bits and Bobz. You'll see that this is all I'm very passionate about. I've lived through it, and I don't want the next generation to go through it.
Absolutely.
United for a diverse, united to be a diverse future. That's what I want, man. So yeah, go check it out. But make sure you also subscribe to Usman Talks United. Like and subscribe, guys.
Yeah, no, make sure you go show him though, because like I said, he does this on the regular. This is like, what he does, his bread and butter, so to speak. So make sure you go and if you want to get educated more, if you feel like there's people that may potentially need it, go and check out his channel and his content. Yes, 100%. Anyways, peace.